Probably one of the phrases we don't understand the most is the phrase, God as I understand Him. So many of us spend our life looking for a meaningful God within life. We go from religion to religion, church to church, place to place. And we always have this concept of God that eludes us and runs from us. God is such a very special thing, such a very special word, such a very special person. And God, as I understand Him, simply means to experience what I call the ultimate spiritual journey of life. And my own experience in life and being exposed to very many things, being exposed to the study of theology and being involved in major religions, for years and years and years of my life, I never understood God. I knew a lot of theory about God. I learned a lot of things about God, but I never understood God. It was only when I was exposed to a very special and a very beautiful program, a very spiritual program called the 12 Steps, that I finally began to understand God as I understand Him inside of me. And believe me, it has changed my life dramatically. It's changed the personhood within me. So today I share with you that beautiful concept of God as I understand Him, the beautiful concept of life. And as I share that, I hope that it will help you to begin to understand the God within you, the specialness of you. Years ago, when I was in seminary, I had a professor named Pete. And this guy taught me something which I'll never forget. In his class, he was an old man, by the way. When I had him for class, he was 92 years old. And being a young, cocky student, my philosophy in dealing with him very simply was, what can this old man teach me? He's over the hill. He knows nothing. Why doesn't he just retire? Why do we have to sit here and listen to him? You see, I knew everything then. Now I'm realizing I don't know that much. I'm just beginning to learn. It's just kind of neat. At that point in life, Pete said to me one day in the classroom, he said, Vince, what does God mean to you? And of course, being a student of theology and knowing so much, what I did was I responded in a very classroom way. And I defined definitions of God as I learned them in theology. And I stood with my chest out because I figured I'd give him some of the best definitions I ever learned about God. The old man looked at me and he laughed. He laughed at me. That was upsetting in itself. But I figured, well, he's old and senile. Maybe he doesn't know the new definitions of God, so I'll give him the old-fashioned ones. Maybe he'll understand them. So I proceeded to change gears and rattle off the old-fashioned ones. The man laughed at me again. And he said to me very simply, and I'll never forget this, he said, Sonny, I didn't like that either. He said, Sonny, you don't even hear what I'm saying to you. He said, what does God mean to you? So he finally said to me, he said, do me a favor, he said, answer this question for me. I said, what? I was angry by this point. He said, what do you like to do the most? And at that stage in my life, my simple response was, I like to eat pizza. And he said to me, well then God for you is eating pizza for eternity. What he did was he took this gigantic notion of God and he reduced it to a piece of pizza. You see, I could identify with the piece of pizza and I could understand it. From that example and that lesson, I finally understand today what God means to me. At least I'm still learning. God, as I understand Him, simply means that if you discover who you are and you get in touch with yourself and you discover this journey, this spiritual journey of life, then you will discover a God as you understand Him, not a God as some church understands it. It'll be yours. It'll belong to you. That's the gift of living. Now, I joke a lot, but at this stage in my life, I often describe God for me as a 200-pound Italian. That means that I see God within me. That's the gift of me. And as I begin to grow and understand that, I begin to realize that beautiful gift that I have. The 12 steps of this program take us on a very spiritual journey. And why I love the 12-step program so much is because it is a very simple spiritual journey. If you take this journey with me today and you work this journey in the course of your life, you will discover the God within you, the God as you understand him. In the first step, we learn some very basic things. We learn the two gifts that are given to us in life: powerlessness, and we learn pain. So the first step is a very painful step because it means we have to stop denying the reality of who we are. See, one of the things we all do in life, and that's why our life is so unmanageable, is we deny our own powerlessness. We deny the reality of life. We deny reality. And the reason why we deny reality is because we don't like who we are. We don't like reality. So it's easier to run away from it. So many of us live in our fantasies, we live in our images, because very basically, we don't like to live in the reality of who we are, where things are. And believe me, if you're real, even if it's painful, you will grow. You will grow. Sooner or later, we have to admit to our reality. We have to admit to what is. We have to face it. You see, admitting and accepting, the acceptance of where we are, the acceptance of self, is the most beautiful part of this journey, and yet the toughest part of this journey. Because it means admitting to who you are, admitting to self, admitting to the beauty of yourself as a person, and even admitting to the fact that maybe some of it's not so beautiful, but at least admitting to it. And so many of us do a lot of admitting intellectually. No, we all can figure everything out up in this head of ours. We walk around and we say, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. That's not enough. Knowing is not enough. Some people know a lot of things. They still keep doing the crazy things they've done all their life. We have to learn the gift of being able more than just know, being able to feel and grow and finally accept and surrender. You know what's so sad? So many of us always try to be something we're not. We run around the countryside and try to be things we're not. Be who you are. You are the most special human being in the whole world. You are who you are. And all you have to do is be yourself and be who you are at the moment. To do that means to surrender. To surrender and accept the reality of who you are. See, so many times we try so hard to deny that. And denial is a very sick part of life. Because denial creates unmanageability and craziness in our life. There's so many times when you try to live in that world of make-believe. It's like almost living a lie sometimes. You live it and you live it and you live it and you know it's not real. You know it has to be done. You know the decisions you have to make. You know what you have to accept and grow on in life. But it's so scary to make that healthy decision, that healthy change. And the beginning of any healthy change is to admit to it and face it and realize that it happened, that it's real. You know, so many of us keep trying to go back into the past. You know, in AA we have the green card, and I shared this with you before. Yesterday's over. You can't go back to yesterday. I don't care how much you want to try to go back. You can't. You got to move on into tomorrow by living today. So the first step tells us that unless we are willing to accept the fact of who we are, to live in reality, I call the first step the real step. If we accept reality, then we begin the journey of making healthy decisions for our life. And it's these healthy decisions that are so important and so special. The first step leads us to the second step. In the second step, we come to believe in a power greater than ourselves that will restore us to sanity. In the second step, we come to believe. All of a sudden, we develop a sense of faith and a sense of trust. We believe that it'll work. When you live in reality, you become a believer. You begin to believe in yourself. You believe in the gifts you have within. You believe in the beauty of yourself as a person. You believe that things can happen. And our belief patterns are so special in our growth in life because inside of us we have this power greater than ourselves, the spiritual energy, the spiritual gift of love. If you come to believe in it, your life becomes sane and peaceful and serene. You know what? We have a hard time with that one. We We have a hard time with sanity and peacefulness and calmness because we think life has to always be in turmoil. That's what we're used to. But see, we got to get on and begin to experience the sanity and the calmness of life and the beauty of life. When you come to believe in something, things will be okay. I often translate the second step. We have to come to believe that inside of us, we have the capability of becoming honest. If we become honest, our life will become sane. Honesty is a very special gift. It's the second step. We define the second step as the step of honesty. It's a very special step. And becoming honest is hard work. It's tough. Becoming honest means that you can live at peace inside of you, no matter what it is. See, again, it's making that healthy decision. Does that mean that everybody else around you is going to feel the same peace? No. Because so many people around us would rather us stay in our images. They like us better that way. They can use us better that way. Becoming honest and living in honesty and living that gift creates peacefulness and sanity and specialness in your life. And we're all running around looking for peacefulness, looking for serenity. You see, the second step gives it to us. It's an experience. Getting honest, by the way, is painful. There's pain involved in it. It hurts. Some of the things you have to get honest about, other people may not like. But when you're honest, you're clear. And being clear is one of the greatest gifts of life. Because when you're clear, you can live and you can move on and you can be peaceful at night. It's when you're not clear, you have to live in clouds. So the second step tells us to be clear about ourselves, to be open, to grow. That leads us to the third step. In the third step, we make a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of a God as we understood Him. In the third step, we finally realize something. If I am clear, if I am honest, if I am real, then I am ready in the third step to make decisions. What kind of decisions do I make? I make healthy decisions for me. I call the third step the selfish step. It's very important. Because if you're not selfish to self, if you don't build and grow within, you can't give to somebody else what you don't have. And so in the third step, you got to learn to make decisions. And I'll tell you a secret about people. If you're clear and you make decisions and you believe in them and they're yours and they're powerful and they're special, then people are okay with them. They may not like them and disagree with them, but they're okay with them because you're clear and you're concise and you believe and they're yours. You make decisions. The biggest decision we have to make is to let go of our will, to let go of our control. God, it's so hard to let go of control. It's so hard to just let go of our will and to let things be. See, whenever you make these healthy decisions, you don't know what they're going to bring. You don't know what direction you're going to go with them. Wherever they take us, they take us. Like I said before, the third step opens the doors. But why so many people don't like taking the third step is because so many times we look at those doors and we don't know what's on the other side of them. Remember the old phrases we always say, will it work? Won't it work? Is it okay? Will it be okay? Nobody knows. You got to open the door and step out. When you step out, you'll discover. But remember, don't step out of the door by yourself. You step out with your higher power. You turn your life over to the care of a God as you understand them. You step out with faith and belief in self. And as you step out and believe, things work. They work. It'll be okay. Whatever's supposed to be will be. It's so beautiful and special. See why the first three steps are called the attitude steps? You have to have good attitude about self. Good attitude about life if you're going to make decisions. And decisions you make have to be healthy ones. I often tell people, do yourself a big, big favor. Take the words right and wrong and throw them in a trash can. They are called the words of guilt. And change those words to healthy and unhealthy. And look at your life honestly and make healthy decisions for you. That's all you can do. You can't make them for other people. They've got to make their own. You have to allow them the right to make that. When you allow yourself the right to do it, you allow them to do it. So the first 3 steps develop good, healthy, positive attitudes in our life. If you work those steps, then you are ready for the 4th step. You are now on the journey. You are now ready to do a fearless moral inventory of your life. In the 4th step, we learn a sense of self-discipline. We learn to sit down with pencil and paper. We learn to do a history of our life, to look at ourselves, to look at our history. Our history's ours. Our history led us to where we are today. So many of us are scared to go back and look at our childhood and realize our childhood brought us to where we are today. Your history is yours. It's okay. Now, part of that might be negative. You might not like part of that history, but that history is important because that history is your growth. Knowledge of that history leads you to a discovery of who you are today. I have a kind of a standing joke for the 4th step. I call the 4th step the battery step. I call it the battery step because I use an analogy of a battery in a car to describe the 4th step. Notice something about all your batteries in cars. 50% of your battery has a negative charge, and 50% has a positive charge. If your battery is 70-30, your car won't run. It's got to be 50-50. What we learn in the 4th step is that 50% of us is negative and 50% is positive. I have negative assets, not liabilities, and I have positive assets. I have both. They're mine. They belong to me. What it means is, in the 4th step, I can now begin to look at the negative things in my life and realize they are my teachers. Because I'm doing this step without fear. They are my teachers. The negative things that occur in my life become my teachers. From them comes my strength, comes my beauty, and comes my growth. See, I can discover my positive assets and my positive qualities by getting in touch with and by meeting and facing my negative things. So many times we take the negative things in our life and we run and we hide from them. We make believe they're not there. We're always running away. But facing them is so important. You know, fears, guilt, all the negative things in life, they aren't real. They're myths. They're myths. Because once you face them and embrace them, they're gone. But see, we're scared to face and embrace them because of fear. So as a result, all of a sudden, we realize we have the power to do it. God tells us over and over again that God will only give us what we can handle. So whatever's going on in our lives, we also have the power inside of us to handle it, to deal with it. It'll be okay. You gotta believe it. You gotta believe it. So in the 4th step, we inventory who we are. We take some time to find out who we are, to go back into our history. And we realize something, that my history is my history. But my new history, the new moments of my life, I can change. I can now develop a new history. And every day of my life is a new history for me. A new part of my book that I write. A new part of my journey. It's my history. It's okay to have history. It makes you understand. It makes you grow. There comes a time when you make history become history and you develop the new parts of you. That's inventory, knowing, self-knowledge. Once you begin to develop that history, what you then do in the 5th step is you share your history, or you share your inventory with God, with yourself, and with another human being. What you've got to do now is you have to learn to come out of yourself. You have to learn to trust. I call the 5th step the step of trust. In the 5th step, you take who you are, and you now reach out, and on your knees, you share it with your God. You pray it. Pray your life. Prayer is a big part of life. It's so special. You share it with yourself. It's such a beautiful thing to sit down and read your own life story and realize how you got to be where you are today, all the things that happened to you in the course of your life, how beautiful it is and how special it is. Even the painful things, you look back on your history, you realize why they happened. So you can grow and discover and be open. Then the step also tells us, because it knows us well enough, to share it with another human being. It tells you to take your life and take who you are, sit down with somebody you trust, and let them know who you are. Give yourself away. And the reason why is we have to learn to start trusting. We have to learn to start being open. We have to learn to get rid of the secrets and grow. We have to learn to get rid of what was, so something new can become. To share our life with somebody else. It means become vulnerable. It means to trust. It means to open yourself up and let somebody else know who you are. You know what's so beautiful about that? The burdens of your own life are not so great anymore. You know what's so sad? So many of us always think we have to do everything all alone. That is the saddest statement in the world. You don't. Even sharing your burdens with somebody else makes you realize you don't have to carry them all by yourself. None of us were made to be totally alone, to be lonely. We realize that we need other people in our life. We're not islands all by ourselves. Independence is a very beautiful thing and a special thing. You should be your own individual and your own independent person. But at the same time, you should have people you can share that with and share your life with. But also share it with people that will accept you unconditionally and accept you where you are. It's a beautiful part about the fifth step. We finally learn what it means to be unconditional. They won't judge you. In the sixth and seventh step, we talk about getting in touch with our character defects. A better word for defect of character is learning how to get in touch with our character traits. You know, it's sad sometimes we always look at our defects as something negative. And yet our defects become for us a very positive human experience. Whenever I do the sixth and seventh step, I talk about three basic points. Developing a sense of our humanness, developing a sense of humor, and learning how to heal ourselves by learning how to forgive ourselves. And so our character defects, or our character traits, help us to get in touch with these three basic areas of our life. You know, it's kind of neat in the first area to begin to understand and realize that we are human. So many of us spend a good portion of our life denying our own humanity, denying the fact that we are human, denying the fact that we make mistakes. Now, I joke a lot, but I tell a lot of people that I like to share a big secret. And the secret that I like to share is, don't tell anybody, but you have defects of character. You have idiosyncrasies. You make mistakes. Do you ever realize it's okay to make mistakes? It's okay to feel your own humanness, to feel your own humanity, to feel the fact that things don't work sometimes. It's a beautiful concept to begin to realize this trait and to get ready to begin to look at the sense of laughing at it. It's okay to be human. It's okay to be who you are. That beautiful concept is the simplicity of this program. We work towards our humanity. It works towards our growth. It is the beautiful concept of getting in touch with a sense of ourself. To be human is to be fully alive. To be human is to live. To be human is a great experience of life. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to fail. Do you realize we're funny? We're funny. We really are. It's okay. God, if you can't laugh at yourself, you got a problem. A good friend of mine, a psychiatrist, once said to me one day, he said, you know, there's a thin line between sanity and insanity. It's called laughter. You ever have a day when you get up in the morning and everything goes wrong? And around 12 o'clock it gets worse. Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my suggestion is to go sit in the corner of your house and just start laughing. Laugh at yourself. If you don't laugh, you go crazy. You will. That's life. Laughter is part of life. And it's beautiful. And it's special. You know, I always tell people this. If you don't think you're funny, when you get up in the morning, jump out of bed, run in the bathroom and throw the lights on and stare in the mirror. If you don't laugh, you're sick. You're funny. Come on. Ease up a little bit. Take it easy. Love yourself when you look in that mirror, too. That's you. It's okay. We're all just a bunch of human beings trying to do it. If you learn that, then you'll learn the third part of the sixth and seventh step. You'll learn how to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Now, all you can do in this life is the best you can do. Will you make mistakes? Yes. Forgiving yourself is a beautiful part of life. Most of us can very easily forgive other people, no problem at all. But we never forgive ourselves. It's okay for you to forgive yourself. And by the way, nobody else can but you. You have to learn that it's okay to forgive. Sure, we all did things to ourselves. You realize that most of us in our life, the person we injure the most, and this is another myth and fallacy that we have in life. We run around the countryside claiming that we hurt people all the time. We do things to people and we hurt them. We might to a certain extent. But the reality is this. Hurt is subjective. Hurt is yours. If you are hurt, it's because you choose to be hurt. If you are hurt, it's simply because that's the way you're choosing to live your lifestyle. It's because you can't go back to the first step and accept reality and then make decisions accordingly. And so you choose to live in your hurt. So what you do is you do damage to yourself. You got to learn to forgive yourself. It's okay. Forgive the things you do to yourself. I think I'm finally beginning to realize that nobody can hurt me unless I give them permission to, and unless I allow it to happen to me inside of me. Because I realize that even disappointments, even though they might be hurtful to me, if I look at them positively and look at them through positive attitudes, they are growing points for me. They are new discoveries and new adventures in life. Sure, they're painful. They're new adventures in life. That's what they're all about. So the 6th and 7th step teach us how to love ourselves, to be human, to laugh. They teach us the gift of forgiveness. In the 8th and 9th step, we make a list of all the people we've injured or harmed in the course of our life. And in the 9th step, we're willing to make amends to them whenever it's humanly possible. We learn in the 9th step also, in making amends, not to injure ourselves or injure or harm anybody else. To let some things go. In the course of life, we do some injury to ourselves. And by the way, making amends, you got to make amends to yourself first. We also injure other people. We do it directly sometimes indirectly. It's all part of life. When you get up in the morning, by the way, I hate to tell you this, but when you get up in the morning, the fact that you get out of bed means that you might injure somebody else. You might say something and indirectly, even though you're doing it, and they take it the wrong way. It's all part of the human condition. It's all part of living. It's all part of life. That's okay. You're going to get hurt because you're going to hear things from other people. So hurt becomes subjective within us, and we accept it. And we have to deal with it and process it and move on with it. So making amends means when we can directly make amends, we make direct amends. But sometimes to make direct amends means we're going to stir the pot up again and stir trouble up again and create old situations. And remember something else too. Just because you're working on your life and just because you make good, healthy decisions for your life doesn't mean the other person wants to make amends with you. They don't have to, by the way. They can be whatever they want to be. They can sit in their own hurt forever if they want to. It's their choice. You can't make other people do what you don't want them to do. So the reality, 8th and 9th step, is to make direct amends whenever possible, if not, make indirect amends. Now let me explain direct amends, real simply. Direct amends means you've got that person who's been waiting for years for you to come and say, I'm sorry. And when you say I'm sorry, they're going to accept you just as you are and let you be whoever you are. There ain't too many of those people around. That's why a lot of times we end up making what we call indirect amends. See, all the things that have happened in my life, I have to make amends for them. But I make amends indirectly. Because I have to learn sometimes that I have to just settle the thing inside of me. It may never be settled inside of the other person, and that's okay. They have to work on that. Allow them their journey, and allow them their discovery, and allow them their life. You see, if I feel inside of me that I have made some decisions in my life that may have injured somebody else, and yet those decisions are still healthy for me, I have to be able to say deep down inside that I'm sorry that they experienced the injury and hurt they experienced. But at the same time, they're willing to let go of that and move on with my life. That's making amends. And there are people we've injured directly. There are ways in which we can do that. It might mean writing a letter within your own journal saying you're sorry. then reading it to a friend instead of to the person and letting it go. It might mean just letting that person go once and for all instead of holding on. See, indirectly we can settle a lot of things in our life. The important part of the 8th and 9th step, by the way, is not to settle things with other people. Is to settle them inside of you once and for all. To become peaceful within. See, when we talk about making amends, we're talking about being peaceful inside of us. Experience the gift within us. The amends has to come from us on the inside. That's what's so special about it. These steps are not necessarily talking about straightening out things with other people. Because they can only be straightened out with others when the other person is willing to have them straightened out. Remember that, please. So many of us live our lives waiting for somebody else to come to us and say, I accept the way you are. They may never accept the way you are, and that's okay. They don't have to. So in making amends, we have to learn the gift of letting go. The gift of settling it inside of us. I only got one circumstance in my life where I realized today I just had to let the person go. That's all. I can't do anymore. And whatever that is going on in their life is going on in their life. I've got to get on and realize that inside of me, I can move on, I can forgive, and I can let go. And that's what's important. We learn in the 8th and 9th step not to carry things inside of you anymore. Not to carry old hurts, old grudges, old situations. To learn to let go of them. To learn to realize you can let go of them. That's the beautiful part of the 8th and 9th step. It's a letting go step once and for all. Again, it's becoming clear and settling things in the course of your life. That leads us to the next 3 steps, the final steps, and the most beautiful steps of the program, the spiritual steps, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th steps. In order to get to those steps, you have to understand something about the first 9 steps. The first 9 spiritual steps of our journey have taught us how to work on ourselves, how to settle things inside of ourselves, how to put things to rest, how to get to know who we are, how to develop good positive attitudes. Once we begin to do that, we are then ready for the real spiritual journey of the 10th step. In the 10th step, it says to make a daily inventory of your life. Sounds real simple. But the 10th step is so special because it presumes that you have a very basic attitude in your life. It presumes you have the attitude within, that you look at yourself positively. See, the first 9 steps develop good self-esteem within us. In the 10th step, we now realize something. I am somebody special. Therefore, every day I spend time on me. Now think about that for a couple of minutes. So many of us don't spend time with ourselves. We don't. I don't care if it's 15 to 20 minutes a day. To be able just to spend time with yourself and enjoy your own company and enjoy who you are, enjoy the gift of yourself, is the greatest moment of your life. But it means you have to have an attitude that you enjoy your own company. You enjoy being with yourself. You enjoy your own presence. Isn't that neat? That's the gift of the 10th step. It means I am so valuable and I am so special that every day that I'm alive, I spend some time with me because I enjoy my own company. And that's neat. That's what it's all about. That's neat and special. The 10th step also teaches us 3 basic principles, which I love. It teaches us the principles of developing a sense of balance in our life. There are 3 words I always use in the 10th step, which are kind of neat. I use the word honeymoon, reality, and balance. Now visualize this on a journey of life. Every journey of life should have a mixture of many, 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 many honeymoons. Honeymoons are neat. They're special. Honeymoons are special moments in life where you really enjoy the joy and the specialness of life. Honeymoon is a new discovery, a discovery of life. That's why I refer to the 10th step as a discovery step. In the honeymoon step, what happens is you discover something new, a new part of the journey of your life. When you first discover it, you should fall in love with it and have a honeymoon with it and enjoy it and go crazy with it. And then all of a sudden, it's tempered by that old bugaboo called reality. Reality is real. But reality is necessary because what reality does is it tempers the honeymoon and creates Balance. And that's the gift of life. If life was always just a honeymoon, it'd be awful boring after a while. There has to be a balance in life so you can have new honeymoons, new discoveries. So the adventure of the spiritual journey is to begin to look at life in the 10th step from that way. To look at life as a new adventure, a new discovery, a new journey, new things in life, and it's so neat. It means everything that happens to me every day is a new journey, new discovery. I refer to the 10th step as let's smell the roses step. We begin to appreciate and see things around us. We begin to smell things and enjoy life and enjoy all the beautiful gifts of life and the things of life. We open up in all different directions in life, and it's so neat and special. And that's what it's all about. Those new discoveries, those new openings. And it's such an adventure and such a journey, and it's so special, and that's what it's all about. That's the 10th step, the step of discovery. God, I hope throughout my whole entire life, to the day I die, I never stop discovering things. I never stop experiencing things. I never stop the adventure of life. It's so beautiful and so special. So you got to get ready for that. You have to actually go through the growth pattern. Now, I often joke about this, but I say a lot of times, I'm glad I am where I am age-wise. And I joke, everybody, gets these cards and people turn 40. And they get all upset and they have all these parties and they do all this stuff. And I finally realized something. Our teen years are the most confusing years of our life. Our 20s are the craziest years of our life. Our 30s are the changing years of our life. And then you really start to live when you pass 40. So there ain't no way I'm going back, because I'm still growing. And it's kind of neat to be where I am today. That's the 10th step, the discovery step. To realize that you don't want to go back. My God. If you went back, you couldn't change it anyway. If you went back, you couldn't make things, change history. It's done. It's finished. So many of us would like to have a time capsule and go back in history. If you went back, you couldn't change it. You couldn't do it. Where you are today is where you're supposed to be. That's the adventure of the 10th step, to accept that. And then open up to new discoveries and new directions and new beauties in life. So nice. That leads us to the 11th step. In the 11th step, we sought through prayer and meditation to develop our conscious contact with our God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. The 11th step is the ultimate spiritual step. It's beautiful. Notice what it says in the 11th step. The 11th step says we have to learn to pray and meditate. And again, I want to emphasize, when I talk about prayer and meditation, I'm not necessarily talking about religion or the traditional concepts of prayer and meditation. Prayer simply means I have to learn to communicate with my higher power. Meditation means I got to learn to be quiet. I have to learn to listen. I have to learn to be open. I have to learn to have an open mind. So prayer means to communicate. Prayer means to get in touch with the feelings that are going on inside of you and to communicate them from the Spirit, from the gift within you. Let me show you what I mean. We were kids growing up. We were all taught certain types of prayer. One of the prayer types we were taught was baby prayer. Remember that type? Gimme, 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 I want. If you don't give it to me, God, I'll put a contract out on you. It's called baby prayer. As we grew up and we got ourselves into all kinds of scrapes and different things, we learned a new type of prayer. It's called let's make a deal prayer. We usually say, well, God, if you get me out of this jam, I'll do the following 15 things. And usually right after you get out of the jam, you develop a new type of prayer called plea bargaining prayer. Now, you didn't expect me to do all that now, did you? Come on. I'll do this and I'll do that. We're always gaming, we're always bargaining, we're always doing all kinds of crazy. That's not prayer. That's survival. The prayer I'm talking about is prayer of the Spirit. Prayer that comes from the gut. Prayer that comes from your feelings. Being able to share with your higher power the beautiful gift of prayer within, the gift of self. One of the things I love doing personally is a lot of times I love just laying in bed early in the morning, just quietly for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, just talking to God and sharing with God the gifts of my life and the gift of me, and just kind of talking things over with God. It's so neat. Try it. Try just talking things over. It makes them so much better, and your energy level is so much more beautiful, and it works. And meditation means sometimes just being quiet and listening. What do we listen for? For God's will for us and the power to carry it out. For God's will for us and the power to carry it out. Not our will, God's will. See, again, what I'm talking about is that adventure and that spiritual journey of being open to whatever God's will is. To being open to the unknown on the other side of the door. To being open to whatever's going to be. I can plan all the greatest things in the world. They might work and they might not work. If they do, okay, they were supposed to be. If they don't, they weren't supposed to be. Try something else. That's the adventure of living life that way. Then you don't get ulcers that way. You just live it. And you begin to realize that you can have dreams. Some parts of them will come true and some won't. Then you'll be able to be open and grow some more. But you listen for God's will. Do you realize everything that's going on in our life, every situation, every circumstance is a teacher? It's God teaching us, showing us, guiding us, directing us. The worries, the confusion, the guilt, the craziness is all ours. It's not God's. God's very clear. He puts people in our life, gives us direction, shows us different things. Some we listen to, some we don't. But every circumstance and every situation in your life has occurred and has happened because it's supposed to. It's supposed to. There are no coincidences. That's the 11th step. There are no coincidences. It's amazing sometimes how we end up in different places. How all of a sudden we're there. Then we meet somebody else and they're there. And other circumstances change and then something else happens. You keep figuring, why did this happen to me? We even get into this crazy thing. It shouldn't have happened to me, but it did. It's because God has a plan. We got to be open to that plan. There's direction in our life. And so many of us don't want to follow that direction. We're too busy trying to manipulate it ourselves. If we're open to it, it'll move to the next direction. It'll be whatever it's supposed to be. And it'll be okay. It really will. But you've got to give it time. You got to be patient. And God works in His or her time, not in our time. That's extremely important. Don't forget that, please. So be patient and let it happen. See, I call the 11th step the let it happen step. Because then you'll be able to pray and meditate and be open. And your journey becomes very spiritual then. You're open to wherever the future brings you. And of course that leads you to the 12th step. The 12th step is a step of gratitude. The grateful step. It's so beautiful. Notice something about the first 11 steps. First 11 steps are geared towards you discovering you. They're all geared towards you. Discovering a sense of your own spiritual journey, your own spiritual life. The 12th step is the only step you don't have to work. Now, let me explain that to you. The 12th step works itself. If you have worked the first 11 steps, and if you are on a spiritual journey, then the 12th step will happen naturally. You will want to share. In the 12th step, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we carry the message to another sick person and practice these principles in all of our affairs. We carry the message. You know what's so beautiful about the 12th step? I call the 12th step the step of sharing and the step of gratitude. If you work on yourself and you are grateful for who you are, then you will give it away naturally. You will give it away by your life, by the way you live. And you know, people will see it in you, and they'll feel it in you. They'll be touched by you, because the gift is within you. It's a gift. As that energy flows out and goes to other people, they'll feel it, and then they'll be able to share it with other people too. That's the gratitude. And you'll learn something in the 12th step. I find this very beautiful. Nothing that I have is mine. That's why I never worry about it. Nothing I have is mine. I don't possess or control anything. Whatever I have for today. I may not have it for tomorrow. That's why I want to enjoy it today. I'm grateful for that. I am grateful for what I have in life today, for whatever is. I'm grateful for this moment. I am grateful for what was. I'm even grateful for what's been taken away from me. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams and imagination you would say you'd be grateful for what's been taken away from you? It's not yours. It's not yours. And sooner or later, each and every individual person in this life has to move on. We can't control each other. We can just help each other. We are grateful for those people in our life that are willing to stay around and go on the journey with us. I guess the biggest prayer I say to everybody as they go on this journey towards God, that they always have people that will go on the journey with them, that will walk alongside of them, that will be with them. It's hard to take that journey all alone. It's lonely by yourself. It's so neat and so special and so beautiful that people on that spiritual journey with you. That's life. That's living. That's what it's all about. You see, you practice these principles in all the things you do in life. You take these steps and these principles on your job. You take them to bed with you at night. Take them into your love life. Take them in every situation in your life. And you learn to be open, and you learn to grow. You learn to accept. You learn the beauty of life. That's discovering God within you. The serenity, the peacefulness, the gentleness of God. It's such a beautiful journey. And these steps are so beautiful as they lead you on it. We're going to learn not to be afraid, but to take the steps, to work the steps, to continue the journey. I guess what I'm really sharing with you today is something very special. I'm inviting all of you to go on a very special journey of life. A journey that will lead you to places you never thought you could be led to. A journey that will lead you in directions you may not even want to go. A journey that will teach you the gift of yourself. A journey that will open up doors never been opened to you before. It'll be a real adventure. Will it be scary? Sometimes. Sometimes. Sometimes you'll be very scared. But you know what? Don't take the journey alone. Take it with your higher power. Take it with those people that are part of your life that want to be on that journey with you. Let them be part of that journey. Don't be afraid to take somebody along with you. It's the beautiful part of relationships, the beautiful part of growing, the beautiful part of life. See, discovering God as I understand Him inside of me is to be open to whatever God is for me. It's to be open to myself. It's to be open to my spiritual journey of life. It's to be open to life and the adventure of life in general. So I guess today I give you the gift of these 12 steps. They are so special, and they work. You'll become so spiritual as a result of it. Will you become religious? I don't know. It's up to you. But you will become spiritual. And finally, in my life, I understand today what it means to be spiritual. Finally. Because I know today that I can love me, I can like me, I can respect me, I can care for me, and I can share that with others. It's my spirituality. My spirituality is unique. It's me. My God is unique because my God works through me. I am at peace with my God today, and I share that peace with you as I share these 12 steps. Thank you, and God bless you.